Hello everybody, happy Monday. I hope you guys had a great Easter weekend and welcome to the first online learning session of American history. So as you guys know, you guys have been learning about the colonies and the first colonies of the United States, and today we're going to be talking about a very special colony, the colony or the city of Jamestown. So grab a snack, grab some note-taking stuff. So if you have that Cornell note-taking template, great. If you're taking notes on your phone or if you're taking notes on your computer, that's awesome. Just make sure that you have something to write down with because we are going to be going through a lot of information pretty quickly. Now, I'm going to be doing this video, but there's also going to be a video linked down in the description as well as in the class notebook, and you're going to have to watch that video as well because it's a continuation on to what I am talking about. So I'm going to be talking about Jamestown today, and then the video that you're going to be watching is about a man by the name of John Smith, who I'll intro in this video, but we won't be getting into a lot of details because I don't want to spoil the surprise. So without further ado, grab a snack, grab a drink of water, grab your note-taking template, and let's get learning. So if you see me looking off to the side quite a lot, it's because my notes are over here. I don't want to mess anything up. I don't want to forget anything, so I'm going to be looking off to the side quite a bit, and then some note-taking stuff might pop up on your screen. So if you need to pause the video at any time to write something down, feel free to do that. So Jamestown, America's first colony. Let's talk about that a little bit. So all of England's attempts up until right now, which is 1606, had been super unsuccessful. In fact, they had been quite laughable, especially the colony of Roanoke. And we've gone over Roanoke 100 times already, so we don't need to go through that.
Pretty much an entire island of people vanishing, poof, without a trace. They poofed. Yeah.
But essentially, everybody was laughing at England because they hadn't been able to colonize anything successfully. So in 1606, King James, that's Queen Elizabeth's the first successor, this is King James I, he decides that he's going to try one more time, and he granted a charter to a new venture. So basically what that means is that he is granting money, he is granting a bunch of ships to a company called the Virginia Company, and he is granting them this charter to go find settlement in the New World. Now, the Virginia Company is an interesting play on words of Queen Elizabeth, right? Because she was the Virgin Queen. So they had named the company after Queen Elizabeth I, and they are now going to head to the New World, and they are going to finally find a settlement, do what John White couldn't do with Roanoke, and they are going to find a new settlement in the New World to exploit the riches of the land and to find new colonists. So their goal is to colonize, find gold and silver and other natural resources, and you know what? They still want to find a new route to the Orient. They're still looking for that route, and that is the goal of King James I and the Virginia Company. Colonize, find gold and silver, and they still want to find a new route to that Orient. So in December of 1606, 100 colonists left England. So that is about the same number as... So there are 3 ships that left. There is the Susan Constant, the Godspeed, and the Discovery, and the captain of all of these ships is Captain Christopher Newport. So like I said, they left in December of 1606, and finally they reached something called the Chesapeake Bay in late April. So December, January, February, March, April. So they actually settled in a very undesirable area. They settled in an area where there weren't a lot of indigenous tribes, so they didn't have a lot of threat, but they settled in an area that indigenous tribes didn't want to live in because it was swampy and there were tons of mosquitoes and it stank and nothing could grow there. The indigenous people didn't want to live in this area, so the colonists came and they settled there because they knew that there would be no threat of indigenous people being upset that their land was being taken away. So they settle in this really terrible area and they call it Jamestown. So what's really interesting about how they figured out who was going to govern this area, because what happened is that the Virginia Company gave strict orders to not announce the governor of the new area until they got there. So there was a long ship ride, right? December, January, February, March, April, a long ship ride. And they weren't going to announce the governor until they got to Jamestown. So as you can imagine, obviously this would be very frustrating, right? You are on your way to a new world and you don't even know who your leader is going to be until you actually get there. Well, this would end up being a huge upset for the entire colony of Jamestown. There would be lots of people that would get very upset, and here's why. There was this guy named John Smith, and he was on the ship ride, and he was an author and a explorer and a soldier from England, and on the way to Jamestown, he got in a lot of different fights with the sailors and with Captain Newport, and he became something called insubordinate. So he would not take anybody's orders, he would tell everybody that he didn't agree with them, he would try doing things his own way, and he actually got arrested while on the ship on the way to Jamestown. So he was arrested on the ship, and people really didn't like John Smith because he was unruly and he was loud and he was boisterous and he didn't want to agree with anybody. He didn't want to do what they asked him to do. So when they got to Jamestown, remember that letter that I was talking about, the one that Virginia Company said, don't open it till you get to Jamestown? Well, they opened the letter when they get to Jamestown, and who becomes the governor? John Smith. So the person that was arrested on the ship is now supposed to be the person that is going to rule Jamestown. He's the person who's going to take the advice from the king, and he's going to govern Jamestown. So he would end up being a very harsh man. He was very cut and dry. He told you what to do, and if you didn't do it, well, sucks to be you, but you don't get any help, you don't get any food. So one of his famous lines was, "He who shall not work shall not eat." And you're going to be learning a little bit more about John Smith's story in that video that I'm going to put in the description bar. So make sure that you watch that, and then tomorrow you'll have a little tiny assignment, and then I will see you again on Wednesday. If you have any questions, just make sure to let me know. Send me a chat in Teams. Until then, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.